If you are looking for a sports betting strategy on YouTube, you find a lot of YouTubers proposing some kind of under or over strategy. In specific, the under 2.5 strategy seems to be very popular. I want to show you how this strategy looks like, why the strategy does not work and will make you lose money. The under 2.5 betting strategy of these clowns seems easy and logical. How should it work? Here you see the calculated under 2.5 odds of a typical 0-0 game. At the beginning of the game, you bet under 2.5. And during or at the end of the first half, you close your bet and lay under 2.5 at smaller odds. If no goal is scored while you are on the market, you realize a win. You only lose in case of a goal. Here you see the odds for a game with a goal scored in minute 10. The under 2.5 odds are going up and you need to close your bet at higher odds than the ones you got initially. You make a loss. The idea behind this strategy is that in tendency more goals are scored in the second half of a game, hence relatively less goals in the first half. So for someone clueless about betting mechanics, it might seem like a good idea to take advantage of this effect by being on under only during the first half and get out of the bet before more goals are more likely to happen. Does it work? First of all, this tendency is true across all soccer leagues. In the first half, less goals are scored than in the second one. Here you see the average goals scored per half for the big four soccer leagues in the 2021-22 season. Around 45% of all goals are scored in the first half. But do you really think the market does not reflect this easily identifiable systematic effect? Of course it does. To evaluate the market's reflection, we can go to minute 30 and have a look at the proportion of games that actually finish with less than 3 goals. Then we can compare this value with the market's assumption reflected by the average under 2.5 odds. We take a look at the big four soccer leagues with a data sample of the last 10 seasons of the Premier League, Bundesliga, La Liga and Liga A. We are talking about nearly 13,500 soccer games. Let's go to minute 30. 12,974 games are relevant for the under 2.5 bet, as less than 3 goals are scored in them in minute 30. Out of these games, 6,511 actually finish with less than 3 goals. 50% of the games, or inverted to odds, 1.99. The average odds at betfair of these games at minute 30 are also 1.99. For more details, we can split the games by score. For example, in minute 30, 6,485 games were scoreless. Out of these, 4,451 games ended with less than 3 goals, equals 69% or odds of 1.46. The average betfair odds were also 1.46. So we can see that there is no significant difference. We can conclude that the market already knows about the effect of less goals being scored in the first half, and the effect is already implied in the odds. A few guys seem to have a bit more advanced approach. They select matches with teams that scored even less goals than others in the first half compared to the second half. And they believe that this could generate an edge and help them to beat the market. But is it really possible to detect a significant difference between teams? Let's do a quick simulation of goals scored in the first and the second half in, let's say, 38 games, like a Premier League season. We use a super simple model where the probability of scoring a goal stays the same for every minute of a 90 minutes game. We can do that as we don't want to predict anything with this model, We just want to show how pure randomness has an influence on the goal distribution. We use Everton FC as an example. Everton scored 43 goals in the 2021-22 Premier League season, which equals 1.13 goals per game or a probability of 1.26 per minute. Now we simulate every minute of Everton's season and sum up the goals after their 38 games. Here you can see the goals per season, as well as the proportion of goals scored in the first and second half. We are doing 20 runs. Every run is an independent representation of a season. You probably expect this to be very close to 50-50. As we said, each minute in our 90 minutes game has the same goal probability. But actually, by sheer coincidence, the values fluctuate roughly between 40% and 63%. We can do a few more 20 runs. And as you can see, there are sets of runs with even higher fluctuations, with a minimum of 29% and a maximum of 73% scored goals in the first half. So, if you see stats of a team that seems to score relatively less in the first half, it can be simply explained by randomness. A selection based on only home goals and only half a season, as proposed by this genius, has even less explanatory power. His data consists of 10 games, taking into account goals scored and goals conceded. Look how our simulation fluctuates if we put the data in. The model works the same if we consider both goals scored and goals conceded. So the 30.8% cannot have any significance. By the way, the rest of the season, Everton scored and conceded 46.2% goals in the first half, even more than the Premier League average. Also in the last 3 seasons, Everton was above league average. But even this is insignificant and to be explained by randomness. So trying to find anything meaningful by just looking at a few games is moronic. Well, compared to most of the other guys we saw presenting their under strategies, this guy at least had a good idea. So if he wants to take it as a compliment, we can say he's the most intelligent among these idiots. And even if we assume there was a real effect, you could imagine, for example, that team tactics could have a small influence leading to a team scoring rather late. It will not have a big influence on the probabilities of under 2.5. Here you see in blue the calculated under 2.5 odds, with a ratio of 45% goals in the first half for a typical 0-0 game. Let's assume a team scores only 40% goals in the first half, which is totally unrealistic to have a systematic difference of 20 percentage points instead of 10 between first and second half. In red you see the new development of the odds. In minute 30, the odds will change from 1.70 to 1.74. That only just makes up the betfair commission of 5%, as odds of 1.7 are effectively 1.737 with commission. You want to know how pros find value in the under markets? You have to calculate the probability for less than 3 goals for every minute of the game and compare your calculation with the market odds. Here you can see the market odds in blue and our calculation in red for the Premier League game Southampton against Man City from January 22, 2022. In this game, laying under was slightly value in minute 30. But in other games, when the market offers higher odds than your estimation proposes, there could actually be value in backing under. On average, there is no value by simply backing or laying under at a specific time. Every game is different. How do the pros calculate the probabilities, you might ask? We will show you in one of the next videos what it takes to build a system that can beat the market. Let me address the clowns with their fake under 2.5 strategies. Show us how successful your strategy is. Prove it Prove that you are qualified to make such videos. Did you actually make money sports betting? It's easy to prove if you made money on Betfair. See our video about it. But you can't do it, can you? Certainly no chance, if you are trying to beat the market with such simple heuristics. I guess you better take down your videos. We will be coming for you. See you next time.
If you are intrigued, subscribe to our channel and you are welcome to ask us questions and give us feedback in comments.